The plane is totally out of control. It's going to be over $4 billion. It's for Air Force One program. And I think it's ridiculous. I think Boeing is doing a little bit of a number. We want Boeing to make a lot of money, but not that much money.
All right, that's Donald Trump commenting on this $4 billion charge now, estimate for Air Force One. I think it's technically 2 planes here. Technically, still, any plane that the president travels in automatically gets a designation of Air Force One, but obviously we're referring to the Boeing planes that they've been making for the last 2 decades for the commander-in-chief, and this is one incoming commander-in-chief who doesn't want the thing. Charlie Gasparino now on the bigger picture here of once again Donald Trump calling out an individual company. What do you think?
I think it's troubling. I mean, listen, why can't he, if he thinks they're overcharging, and by the way, I don't know if there's evidence to that they are.
Yeah, you're right. The White House is saying, I'm not saying you're right, but right. What the White House is saying is that this is not the way it's reflected by Mr. Trump.
Yeah, I mean, where's the evidence that Boeing is ripping off the U.S. government? If there is, let's get the Attorney General involved. Let's get.
But these things were quoted at 1.6 billion a few years ago. Now they're up to 4 billion. Have you ever worked with contractors?
Wait a second, they were 6 billion.
1.6 billion.
And now they're up to 4.
Right. So now if you had a contractor pull that in, well, that contractor in your case wouldn't be alive.
Yes.
But you know, well, it does make you wonder.
If they are doing a number, that sounds like they're hiding costs. That sounds illegal. And the U.S. Attorney, well, if they're ripping off the government, that's illegal. And
they might be able to justify it.
But let me ask you this: if it was true, because it's probably they're probably not ripping off anybody. Their costs probably went up.
There's no way their costs went up that much.
Well, who knows? You don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert at this.
I was having my kitchen remodeled. In the middle of it, they doubled the price of the oven. Now I know that the oven, no way.
You've got the Air Force One of kitchens.
I do indeed. I just wanted a place for the Italian sausage. So they overcharged it. Then I had the heart surgery and I said, I don't need the sausage.
You want the super sod to be hanging.
Exactly.
Perfect temperature.
But all right, leaving aside whether they're overruns here or not, you just didn't like the series of events.
It's 2 in a row now.
Right?
I mean, like he's
technically 3.
Well, the first one I thought was a good way of doing it. The carrier one, I thought what he did was he went to them. He said, "Here's what we're going to do with the economy. Here's we think you should stay," and he saved a bunch of jobs, which is great. Right. The second one was with Rexnord. Is that
right? The bearings maker in Indiana.
Just attacked them, crushed, took tens of millions of dollars off their stock price. I mean, there's nothing illegal about what they want to do. They're a public company that needs to lower costs. He didn't do, and then here, same thing. Why didn't he go to Boeing and say, listen, we think you're doing a number on us. We'd like you to cut this in half or whatever.
But this is about using the bully pulpit of an office he isn't in yet.
And he's manipulating the stocks. Listen, the hammer.
Manipulating is a strong word.
Here's the thing.
You're saying that he's doing it for his own benefit.
No. He is.
You say manipulate, that's what I think.
Okay, but here's the thing, Neil. The hammer that he has against private enterprise going forward as the president-elect, is the bully pulpit to take down the stock price.
Absolutely.
But to take down the stock price. And by forcing down the stock price, by saying, listen, you're going to have the President of the United States against, even if there's nothing he can do on this contract, to have a black mark on you from the President of the United States hurts you in a lot of other ways.
But doesn't every president do that to a varying degree? Like, when they drag those banking CEOs before Congress, their stocks usually are suffering that day.
Off and on.
Or Ronald,
I think off and on.
Ronald Reagan going after the solar manufacturers back in his day and ripping the solar panels off the White House. That hurt the guys who were producing it.
Sure, but that went after an industry that he thought was problematic. I mean, he's by singling out company after company after company. Which company?
What's wrong if they think twice about doing the kind of stuff for which they're being charged?
Listen, if they're guilty, nail them. But I think going after a company without any... I mean, he didn't really lay out any evidence other than I think they're ripping us off.
So we're up to $4 billion. Right. Now, to your point, and I should stress, the White House says that some of the statistics that have been cited by Trump on Air Force One don't appear to reflect arrangements between Boeing and the Department of Defense. So you could be right there. It further says that Americans would expect that future presidents would benefit from upgrades to Air Force One. There's where Donald Trump has said, I don't want this stupid thing.
Good. He can. By the way, he should ride around in his plane, which is... You know,
charge the government for
in the realm of private planes, though, his is kind of like an old jalopy.
1991.
It's not a very good one. So he can.
But he poured $100 million into it.
Yeah.
to fix it up with the gold plated everything.
Yeah, that's why he didn't have enough money to run for president, right? He had to borrow some from Wall Street during the election.
Yes, I
He didn't borrow. He got kept
Do
in
you
country.
think that any of this, though, will have the desired effect when he becomes president? You'll think twice about crossing him, and he sends a message, a very populist message out there. He's going to stick up for U.S. workers. He's going to stick up for the U.S. taxpayer.
Yeah, maybe it works. Listen, here's the thing. His base loves it. It's on my Twitter page. They think this is capitalism, which it isn't. I'm sure Steve Bannon is kind of behind this. I'm sure that Anthony Scaramucci and Reince Priebus and Steve Mnuchin are like, having sweats right now, are in sweats right now. And I think, listen, he's a brilliant guy. He got in there through the sort of jujitsu.
I think he likes being unpredictable, too.
Yeah.
That's when Republicans think he's one of ours. Boom.
And some of the unpredictableness is great, right? I mean, the Taiwan thing was perfect, right? I mean, listen, you want to cut better deals with China, and guess what you do?
So you think that was deliberate?
I think that was great and deliberate, right?
Yeah.
Why he calls up the Chinese prime minister and he violates protocol with the Chinese government, which goes out and kills its own citizens all the time, and we're supposed to be upset.
But this is the Taiwan leader calling him.
I think he called first, and then she called him back.
Well, I think Bob Dole made the arrangement so that he would call him back. But you don't have a problem with diplomatic etiquette.
But isn't that great? I mean, put China back on its heels if you want to negotiate better with them. My problem is...
In other words, it wasn't us being provocative. They've had a long history of being provocative.
The Chinese are running around the South China Sea trying to take over islands that don't belong there. I mean, I don't understand why you can't do that. My point is he's got to learn how to draw the line. I think that if there's one thing, Neil, that can snuff out a Trump recovery, it's doing this sort of stuff with American businesses, like demonizing them and attacking, doing what Obama kind of did over the last...
Unless some of them are doing that.
You better have the evidence.
Okay, fair enough.
We don't go on our air and just say, oh, Boeing is a...
You say hateful things about Donald Trump.
No, I don't.
No? Okay.
No, I say nice things about him, too.
All right. Let me ask you real quickly about the talk that Ivanka Trump and her husband, Jared Kushner, are reportedly considering moving to D.C. to be closer to, presumably, the incoming president.
Well, Kushner is going to be in the White House, maybe, right, as an advisor.
There are a lot of potential conflicts now.
Huge. I mean, because she runs the Trump company, and Kushner is obviously they're not going to listen. This is what we've got. I've always said it from the beginning. We're going to, because of his business interests, are somewhat entwined just naturally with national affairs and trade. We're going to have this conflict. I think as long as he's upfront about it, and he kind of takes some steps, I think the American people, that is a tempest in a teapot. Now, if he goes out of his way to enrich himself and his kids while he's president, which I'll tell you, that statement he made to the Times that he can run it was so ill-advised because that's going to follow him around. But if he does that...
What he's doing is not illegal.
Of course not. But if he enriches himself, it is. There's tripwires. There's those anti-bribery laws. But listen, who would you rather have, Hillary Clinton or a businessman in there? I mean, that's what the American people said. We'd rather have a businessman.
Okay. Very good seeing you, my friend. Are you running, interested in the Secretary of State job?
Is it still not chosen yet?
It's still expanding here. So keep watching.
Well, bowling is available, I think.
Bowling is available. The list has gotten along.